All right, so first, thanks to the fans. I thought that atmosphere was electric from the beginning. I thought our warm-ups, everything coming back out the tunnel, seeing it packed like that was awesome. I think players feed off of that. We had a really good start early, got up 10-0, and felt that in the fourth quarter. So really cool. Cool that I've said the player and the student relationship and going down there at the end and the players having fun with the students is awesome. And whatever that makes, 35-3 or something at home if you've been here, if you failed a few classes, I've been here for 5.5 years now as a student. So pretty cool. Pleased for our players, overcome adversity. We didn't play really well defensively at all in the first half and gave up the big pass plays. And really to shut them out in the second half, I think a lot of credit to the players, to assistant coaches for regrouping and said at half, we got to keep the ball in front of us and, just make them earn it and see if we can, get them to throw us a pick at some point. So thought our defense was great in the second half. Offense did a lot of really good things. We left the ball at the 1 and the 3 on fourth downs down there. So obviously 14 points there, and we score another time and the lineman's just watching the play over here and gets called downfield. So that took that off the board. But outside of that, 5 for 5 in the field on fourth downs. And then defensively to stop them on 2 fourth downs, I think is a really huge part of the game.
The questions from the media will start off with side here with Ben.
Lane, after the game, student section, you went down there again, they chanting, "We want Lane, we want Lane." What'd that mean to you, and do you have anything you'd say to them collectively for that?
I mean, it was just a cool atmosphere, like I said, during the game. The walk was awesome, and you could just tell. So I think it's good. Like I've always said, I wish our fans would be the way they are at LSU games because they hate LSU. So I guess we got them to hate Florida this week. So they came with a little different, not Mississippi nice like they do sometimes. So that was really cool at the end, the student section and Kiwan and the whole belt thing and everything.
Lane, do you think this punched your team's ticket to the CFP?
I don't know that stuff. I don't worry about that stuff. We get a really good time by right here. This was a 1-game season this week, to get to 1-0, which obviously would put us at 10-1, which would put a lot of things in play. But just told guys, put everything aside, find a way to get to 1-0. Some guys played out there really hurt today. We actually got guys hurt, got a tight end hurt in warm-ups. We've had really fortunate luck injury-wise in game, and today we didn't. And some guys battled through some injuries out there and played hurt, especially the tight end position. So really unusual game. Trinidad misses a throw that he makes 100 out of 100 times. When he dirts the ball, it is right on the fourth down to leave it down there on the 1. So some unusual things happen, but you got to overcome those. I feel like in this course of this season, we've gotten a lot of breaks, I've said. And then today some went the other way, like the hands to the face during the kick. That's not post-kick, okay? So that should be first down there. And doesn't do any good when you come over, you talk about it, and then you say afterwards, yeah, you're right. Well, that's the point of getting it right as officials. So that was really frustrating, as you probably saw, because that's a critical play. It's first and goal right there instead of the field goal, and obviously it was during the kick. So whatever.
Lane read the story from Ross Dellinger this week that he had that sit down with you, and there was a really striking quote there at the end where you talked about picturing yourself being at the elite blue bloods, but you sort of changed and you didn't think it was necessarily a place like Ole Miss, but you've sort of changed your way of thinking, and that maybe this is the last chapter. There's a lot of talk about you for coaching searches right now. Do you anticipate being the head coach at Ole Miss next year?
Yeah, I think the last chapter thing makes me feel like I'm like 80 years old, So I don't like being old, so I don't really like that part of the story that makes me feel like I'm on my last chapter. So I love what we're doing here. Today was awesome, and I don't talk about that stuff. And really to even talk about it right now would be so disrespectful to our players and how well they played today. We got a lot of things going here, doing really well, and I love it here. So.
Talk about Q1 a lot, but what specifically tonight allowed him to go for over 200 yards and 3 touchdowns?
Giving the ball 31 times. So, he's elite, and really, I think in the second half of the season, as you look, he's gotten stronger, which is highly unusual. He leads the SEC, I think, in carries by far. He might lead the NCAA now. And really, that's unusual because you get wear and tear normally throughout the year. Really, maybe Derrick Henry's the only one we've had like that got stronger. He carried the ball 90 times in the Iron Bowl and SEC championship against Florida, actually, in a 7-day span. And I think Kewan could do something like that. He just seems to get stronger. He plays almost every snap during the game. And he's just really elite player, because usually your track fast guys like him, they can't stay durable and run the way he does in between the tackles and short yardage. That's why he's really unusual and gonna make a lot of money.
What were the differences in the first half defense and the second half defense?
Yeah,
in your mind?
Covering them. I mean, in the first half, we're just letting them run down the field on play action, and so don't matter how many receivers you got hurt. Anybody can, if you don't cover them, they can catch it. So, really at halftime, so let's just stay back, let's drop more, and make them earn it. And we did that, and really played great in the second half, and finally got that critical interception.
With this game having so much significance, so much weight to it, and you being the focus, just what was it like for you emotionally out there today?
I didn't. This isn't coach speak. I don't give you coach speak. I didn't even think about that stuff. I just trying to coach the game, put us in the best position to win, and really that was, like I said, there was really unusual, which is football. You're going to get really good and bad things happen in a game, and we got a lot there bad early on in that second quarter especially, and it just felt like, okay, this is a lot of stuff to overcome, but I think that shows that we are potentially a really, really good team, that we can overcome those things and still win by a couple scores and have 538 yards in a game against a good defense. That defense has given a lot of people problems throughout the season.
Well, you don't play for a little less than 2 weeks. Do you like what the bye week is, and kind of what's your game plan going for the next couple of weeks? I
do, especially with Daquan. When you probably watch the TV copy, you'll see better. He has one shoulder in there, so he can't even block. And really 2 of the passes, and probably our fault for putting him back on that last one, because I talked to him. He's like, I'll catch it, coach. I'm like, you can't raise your arm. And he's like, I will. And so he went back in and couldn't really raise it and catch it. So probably my fault putting him in there. But he's very critical, so hopefully getting some rest with him and getting him back. And then Kite had come back, which is big for us, and then he re-hurt himself. So this is a good time.
I know he's only been here not even a full year, but tonight was senior night. Just what has Trinidad Chambliss meant to this program in his time here?
Yeah, I forgot about senior night. I feel like it's almost everybody's senior night because they just go in the portal. So I don't even know why we have senior night. They're like portal night. All guys that are thinking about going in the portal. So I hadn't even thought about that. But Trinidad's been awesome. I mean, he ain't been here. You said a year. He ain't been here close to a year. I just got here this summer. I mean, another 300-yard game against, like I said, a good defense that blitzed us a lot today and gave us some issues with that. So we had to pop some runs into those pressures on third down, like you saw later in the game. But Trinidad made a lot of really critical plays. He obviously missed the easy throw, but he makes the other touchdown that the lineman downfield over there that obviously had nothing to do with Trinidad. He made a great play on that. So he's been awesome. I think it's an amazing story. And really kind of like his last year. The guy didn't start at the beginning of the season where he was at and won the national championship. So now he's starting here, and who knows?
Lane, you praised tonight's environment. Since you got here to now, do you believe this Ole Miss fan base and program has kind of risen to the occasion to be respected and revered as a kind of blue blood or elite program?
What was today? Were you here last week? No, that they answered the call today, and they having some big games for us, and that's been critical. I'm just telling you, when you run out there and I just think it's a big deal, especially the way we face. And you run out there and that thing's half full. It's just it's a different energy that it creates for your players. So tonight being full at kickoff and they stayed, is really, really important.
Lane, what does it mean for you personally just to get your first win over Florida as a head coach, especially after they knocked you guys out last year?
I seriously hadn't thought about that, but thanks for reminding me. So, yeah. That's why we played their song, because we finally beat them. Yeah, I really hadn't thought about that. Yeah, I had thought about how far our program's come, because that was our first game, actually, Florida. Unless you're talking about the Florida-Tennessee game. That was a long time ago. We lost to them. But the first game of our program here, we played Florida, and we were a long ways away on the field from them. We scored late, so it looked like we scored a lot. But, that day, the programs were a long ways apart. So it's been 5.5 years later here, almost 6 years later. It's really cool to see where our program is, not just in that matchup versus them, but just in the SEC. So, like I said, I told our guys this week, I've said it for 2 weeks, as you get older, everybody always says the good old days. Like, man, remember in the good old days when we were in high school and everybody talks about how good they were? And I said, hey, guys, I think we're in the good old days right now. So I think we're in them. I think for our fans, for our players, it's like this utopia of what's going on. So enjoy it, because these runs don't happen very often anywhere. So it's really cool.
Lane, here to your right. How do you set aside the Kiffin to Florida talk, and do you let your representatives kind of handle all those machinations kind of going on? And what's kind of, I guess, your message to, Ole Miss fans? I mean, talking to some of them before the game, a lot of them were just like, we just kind of want some clarity here.
Okay. I feel like you're a Florida guy. I don't think we were distracted, 538 yards today for an offense seems pretty focused. So we've been dealing with what people would say been a distraction for weeks now, including at Oklahoma, who's a pretty good team. So I think it's different nowadays. I told you, I think kids think differently. They're getting pre-portaled every Saturday night. They play well from other people. So I just talk to them and say, hey, that's part of the process, man. When you guys play really well, these things happen. Your coach gets talked about, and it ain't the first year it's happened around here. So I don't think it's a problem.
Go up top. Lane, with the win, you guys clinched your fourth 10-win season in the last 5 years. You've talked about the importance about that in the past. How has it been building up this program to where it is now?
That's a cool stat. Again, that's a lot of players doing really good things over time here, assistant coaches. I thought last offseason, we lost a ton of players to the draft, most in the history of the school. Somebody said the other day, I forgot about that. And then I think 2 returning starters coming into this year, and so now to be 10-1 where they are. I think this is a lot about the assistant coaches too. And general manager Billy, they all stayed in the offseason. A lot of them had choices to leave and different jobs, and they decided to stay. It's the first offseason we ever went 100% with coaches not leaving. And I think that has a lot to do with us getting all these new players to perform and play really well.
Last question up top.
Yeah, Lane, I mean, we've talked at length about the family element and your family being around here, but the first person that you looked at when the clock hit 0 was Knox, who was right there.
Yeah.
And then you were walking off and you saw Layla and your face lit up and you went after you. It was like you were about to go sack a quarterback there. How much sweeter is it having them around here? I know you get that question every week, but in a win like this.
That's a really cool story about Knox. The only problem with your Layla story is that was Keith's wife that I hugged, not Layla. So I guess all blondes look alike. But other than that, it was a cool story. I don't know, somebody said, just seeing Knox play last night, like the whole good old days that I tell our players, I'm in them right now for my life. And so I just think people don't realize when they're in them, and then they get older and they say, remember that? It was so great back then. I'm just fortunate to be in them. He wins last night. Fisher, one of our quarterback assistant, who came to the game with me after, he said, you know, you realize we win tomorrow, that means we have a bye, then we play the Egg Bowl, and if Knox wins, we will play the Egg Bowl during the day for the Egg Bowl to go 11-1. He'll play that night for, I don't know what they call it here, the North Division of the state or something like that. That's pretty cool.
All right, we'll wrap up. Coach Wyatt, players in next. Thank you.
Thanks. That's how rumors get started, by the way.